Back to Cough Country, it's Steve with your cannabis news. I'm coming to you right now from the late night green set. It's going to be Cough Country's premier cannabis panel style talk show. It's coming in March. Make sure you're subscribed. We got more information coming. You're not going to want to miss it. But right now, we got all the news you need coming your way. Let's get into that. We start off in Germany, where the Germans have finally, after years of waiting, legalized cannabis. Well, sort of. I'll tell you more about that. Then we continue our dive into where the candidates stand on because it wouldn't jive with the European Union's official stance on marijuana. So what they came up with to get around that is kind of a watered down version of legalization. They're giving the green light to possession in smaller amounts, home grow, and cannabis social clubs with up to 500 members. But the economic impact is expected to be pretty minimal as the law stops short of putting in any kind of framework for a legal marketplace. And instead, the social clubs will fill that role. The people will gather to grow their own weed and share it amongst themselves. How lovely. And if you're under 18, I'm sorry, but that's a hard no, bro. But the 18 to 21-year-olds get kind of a learner's permit. They can only have cannabis with a max THC content of 10% or less. The health minister, Karl Lauterbach, the one who has been driving this car, hopes that it's going to curb the black market, reduce drug-related crime, and keep unsafe products out of consumers' hands. He's acknowledged that the cannabis policy of the past has failed Germans, allowing criminal dealers to target the young people and use cannabis to get them addicted to harder drugs. Some people are saying the biggest win here, though, is for the medical cannabis community, which has been in place since 2017. So decriminalizing it will make it much easier for doctors to write cannabis prescriptions, and it's going to help control prices, as it's no longer a narcotic. So right now, medical cannabis prices are at or lower than what people are buying from the black market. So they're expecting medical demand to go way up. They're calling this all quasi-legalization because a blanket marijuana prohibition will technically remain, in a very loose way, and you still won't be able to go buy it at the store. And that was not Europe's largest economy's original plan. They were looking at full legal sales, but had to regroup when the European Union stepped in and threw a flag on the play. So they backtracked and developed a two-pillar approach, which they're working with now. The cannabis social clubs will be nonprofit organizations with up to 500 members who will all organize and grow their own cannabis and distribute it amongst their members. And in the meantime, they're putting together a regional experimental program to allow and test a controlled, isolated commercial supply chain. They'll let one area grow and sell it and use that data to try to convince the European Commission to chill the hell out. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We got a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with more cannabis news for you.
This is cannabis. And this is cannabis. And this is cannabis. And this is cannabis. When you put them all together, you've got medicine.
All right, welcome back, guys. Thanks for sticking around, but don't worry, we've got more news coming your way right now. So the November election is coming up sooner than you think, and cannabis is gonna come up. So we're jumping back in and checking out where the candidates stand on cannabis. Former President Donald Trump is back in the ring, and it sounds like he's ready and raring to go. He's already had a term as president to figure out his marijuana policy, and to be honest, it was a bit all over the map. So early on, we're talking to in 2015, 2016, Trump was actually defending medical marijuana. In an interview with Bill O'Reilly, he said he supported it 100%. And he was calling for more research, actually. When O'Reilly called medical marijuana a ruse, Trump said, "But I know people that have really serious problems and it really does help them." But at the same time, he was kind of poo-pooing recreational. So Sean Hannity asked him if Colorado legalizing was a good or a bad experiment. And without missing a beat, he replied, "Bad. I think it's bad and I feel strongly about that." Now, throughout his term, he would refer to legalization as an issue for the states, all the while taking jabs at legalization efforts going on. He also made some moves that weren't necessarily anti-cannabis, but weren't cannabis-friendly either. When he appointed Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, he appointed an adamantly anti-marijuana guy as the nation's top lawyer. He didn't like cannabis one bit. Now, that's when the Trump administration overturned the Obama-era policies that kept the federal government from interfering with states legalizing cannabis. Now, nothing ever came of it, but he did open the door. So he's approaching this election still deferring to states' rights to decide, still fairly supportive of medical cannabis, but he's coming in pretty hot talking about waging war on the cartels and doling out the death penalty to drug dealers, not directly saying marijuana is a drug. But in a talk to the NRA, he did suggest, without any evidence whatsoever, that genetically engineered cannabis is behind the rise in mass shootings in the country. So, all in all, Trump would probably sit back and let the states decide what they want to do. He'll support medical programs, but it sounded like he's not too excited about recreational cannabis. He knows the marijuana vote has some political power and probably won't move toward reform unless he feels that pressure. So the science of cannabis is actually starting to find its footing, and it's coming out with some pretty neat things that cannabinoids do when they work together and all the different ways it affects us. So we got Nick, our citizen reporter from Tampa, Florida, coming in to help us crack this nut. Nick, thank you so much for being here. Tell me, what is going on with the Entourage effect? What is it? Break it down for us.
It's my pleasure to be on the show here. What is the Entourage effect? The Entourage effect is essentially the concept that all of the components of the cannabis plant, the various chemical compounds that are naturally occurring, work together synergistically. It's a beautiful, some people say theory. I find it to be fact because I'm actually a personal medical marijuana patient. The interaction of all these compounds of the cannabis plant, such as THC, CBD, there's CBN or CBG, and this, for example, how they interact with terpenes, and those can vary so much depending on strain and climate and where these different various cannabis plants were cultivated. They all come together to enhance their effects, and it's a really beautiful synergistic complement to each other. One particular example of the Entourage effect, though, I want to touch down on just with that generic explanation is, as a medical marijuana patient myself and giving you the real report from the streets, it's that I myself use THC to CBD ratio, and they work together. It is the Entourage effect that it seems that the calming effects of the CBD have a dramatic impact on amplifying the THC aspect of it, which is the psychoactive part.
So they're getting these synergistic effects, kind of stepping, like leapfrogging over each other. Does it work the other way as well? Like, do they negate each other out at all?
It's a good question, Steve. So